Hey guys, I'm Tom the Tech Chap, and I've assembled 9 of the latest and greatest flagship phones. I've got the Asus Zenfone 11 Ultra, Xiaomi 14 Ultra, the Vivo X100 Pro, Honor Magic 6 Pro, Pixel 8 Pro, iPhone 15 Pro Max, OPPO X7 Ultra, OnePlus 12, and the S24 Ultra from Samsung. So these are all set up as similarly as possible because while this isn't a fully real-world test, I'm not out and about with 5G, this is in my studio, I'm doing the best I can. I'm going to run the same series of apps from the camera, YouTube, social media, a couple of different games to see how they perform relative to each other. Although I did have a bit of a problem. I actually had to restart this test, and I'll show you why, because I jumped straight in with a 3D Mark benchmark, but then in this 20-minute stress test, the Xiaomi overheats. It doesn't actually complete the test, so I don't get the results from that, and actually it's a pretty demanding benchmark, and it kind of just destroyed the battery life on everything else. So I thought, well, this isn't really working. Let's park the benchmark test right to the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. And let's just, restart fresh, back to 100%, all apps closed. Let's try that again without the super demanding benchmark that really no one's going to actually run in the real world. So again, all phones set to around 150 nits brightness, background apps closed, Wi-Fi only, all with the latest updates as I'm recording this, and all with 100% battery health. All of these phones have been used for a few days, but no more than a couple of weeks. Now in terms of the specs, 6 of the 9 phones here are using the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip. We've also got the Google Tensor in the Pixel 8 Pro, also Apple's A17 Pro chip in the iPhone, and MediaTek's 9300 Pro in the Vivo X100 Pro. We've also got a pretty big range of battery sizes. The iPhone is the smallest, the Honor is the biggest. 2024 flagships have definitely managed to squeeze in bigger batteries. So after playing some War Thunder, I was kind of curious how hot these phones got, just in terms of their external temperature, and you can see the OPPO X7 Ultra did get the hottest, 44 degrees, with the Vivo, the MediaTek chip, actually running the coolest there, 33.9. It is worth remembering though that this X7 Ultra from OPPO is not currently available outside of China. This is a review sample I was sent, and is the Chinese model. I've had to download the Play Store via an APK and all the other apps that way, but possibly that puts it at a slight disadvantage. Alright, so at the 3-hour mark, we've got the Pixel and the Asus Zenfone bringing up the rear. That's a little bit surprising actually, given how big the battery is, but all to play for. And place your bets now which one you think is going to win, and let's see if you're right. Now obviously I'd like to include every flagship phone out there. We are missing the iQOO 12, we've got the Red Magic, the ROG Phone 8. We're obviously looking forward to a new 2024 Sony flagship phone, but I think these 9 represent a good amount on the market. Although as I say, it is sad that we can't actually buy the X7 Ultra right now. Also remember, your mileage will vary. It all depends on how long you play games for. Are you connected to 5G or not? 1 hour of playing a podcast versus 1 hour of playing War Thunder will have very different impacts on the battery. Although what I have seen is actually 4K video recording with the camera is the biggest drain to battery life. Although somewhat disappointingly, the Asus Zenfone is still limited to 1080p 30 video with the selfie camera, which doesn't seem very ultra. Now obviously this took me a long time to film, so I'm cutting this down a little bit and editing for you, so we're going to jump between 6, 7, 8 hours, and surprising no one really, the Pixel is leading the back of the pack. 4% there at 9 hours. At 9 hours, 15 minutes, the Pixel conks out. It is officially the loser. Year after year, the Pixel comes last, or almost last. And it is disappointing given how that Tensor processor is also the least powerful, basically, among these guys. So obviously all these phones will last longer if you're not playing games or shooting lots of 4K video, but as I say, it's all about relative performance, with the same set of tests, seeing how they compare to each other. The Pixel really did die quite soon relative to the other phones. Everything else just keeps going. The OPPO is getting everything it can out of that 1% of battery. But then, 10 hours 20, we lose the X7 Ultra. A full hour and 5 longer than the Pixel, which isn't bad given it actually has one of the smaller batteries, 5,000 milliamp hours. But then they start dropping like flies because just 1 minute later, we lose the Zenfone 11 Ultra. And at the same time, the Xiaomi goes into its hibernation mode, which essentially means it's dead because if you exit it, I found out, it won't turn back on. So I'm going to call that at 10 hours 23. There's 3 minutes between 3 of these phones. But then 7 minutes later, we lose the iPhone, leaving its main rival, arguably the Samsung, on 6% left. So in this test at least, the Samsung does beat the iPhone. Dead on the 11-hour mark, we lose the OnePlus 12, giving us our top 3, the Samsung Galaxy, the Honor Magic, and the Vivo. But then 5 minutes later, the S24 Ultra is out, and we have our top 2. And I think at this point we can see who's going to win. We've got the Honor on 1%, the Vivo on 10. And so at 11 hours, 31 minutes, we lose the Honor Magic 6 Pro, meaning the Vivo X100 Pro with the MediaTek chip has won. It had like a full 10% of its battery left after everything else had died. So in last place, the Google Pixel. Not very surprising really, but still disappointing, especially as I say, given the chip isn't that powerful either. So come on Google, up your game there. OPPO came next, lasting a full hour and 5 minutes longer than the Pixel, and it's also the Chinese version, which doesn't help. Then 1 whole minute later, we have the Asus Zenfone 11 Ultra, which I thought would do better given it had a 5500 mAh battery. I think the issue here may have been that it kept going into high performance mode for gaming. I had to manually put it back to dynamic, but then 2 minutes later, we have the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. Points against this one because it made me have to restart the whole test because it failed that 3D mark, but we'll come back to that in a second. Then we have the iPhone, 8 minutes longer than that. But then the next tier up, I think, we have the OnePlus 12, lasted half an hour longer than the iPhone, dead on 11 hours. Very impressive from the OnePlus. But the Samsung beat it, only by 5 minutes, but it has a smaller battery. Hats off to those engineers over at Samsung. But big up the Honor Magic 6 Pro. They've managed to cram in the biggest battery, and it shows. It lasts almost half an hour longer than the Samsung, 11 hours and 31. Very, very impressive from Honor. But the winner, Vivo, with the MediaTek 9300 chip with a 5400 mAh battery, a whopping 12 hours and 46 minutes. But I know what you're thinking, maybe it does last longest, but is that MediaTek actually as good, as fast as the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3s? Well, let's revisit those performance benchmarks, which I tried to do at the start, but then Xiaomi wasn't having any of it. And starting in Geekbench 6, looking at the Vivo with the MediaTek chip, it's broadly the same as everything else. It falls down a little bit in single core, although bizarrely the Find X7 Ultra and the OnePlus 12, I don't know what's going on with that. It doesn't make sense. I'd say it's an anomaly. And actually, I have run this a couple of times, and I keep getting that weird low numbers. So Geekbench tests the processor, but what about the graphics? Well, running the 3D Mark Wildlife test again, you can see the Vivo, the third from left, is only about 4 or 5% below the other 8 Gen 3 competitors. Actually, it's the Pixel and the iPhone here that fall down, particularly the Pixel. But I do want to finish on that 20-minute stress test, the Wildlife Extreme benchmark, because again, the Xiaomi didn't finish. It overheated, and again with the Vivo, the top score is about 5% lower than the rivals, although the stability is low. It does seem to be throttling more. So then presumably it's downclocking the processor, impacting the frame rate in your games. So there is perhaps a small performance compromise there, but in terms of the battery life gains, it's not a bad trade-off. The bottom line though is all these phones will easily last you a full day. You've got nothing to worry about, and we have different levels of fast charging as well. But did you correctly guess the winner? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you've got any feedback for my next video or any other phones you'd like me to include, drop a comment below. Thumbs up and a little subscribe would be fantastic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.